Nobody in the world that is providing me with motivation in the last year like our guest in the studio with us, Mr. Chris Garrido.
Woo.
And some of y'all are like, I've heard that name before.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, he's a financial planner, and yes, he's handled all my life insurance stuff and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He ain't here to talk about none of that. What he is here to talk about today is the amazing transformation that he has gone under both physically, spiritually, personally in the last, we can't even say it's 18 months yet that I'm fully aware of. Almost 18 months?
17.
Oh, my goodness.
Wow, it's been that long since you've... Oh, okay. Wow.
There's a lot of stuff out there in the media about people who decide they're going to take their lives by the horns and they're going to really change their lives. I have not known too many people like Chris who said, enough, I'm moving forward, this is me. He's the author of a book called Fit by 50. And last year, you lost over 100 pounds.
I'm at, by the way, good morning. Ed.
Good morning.
Kenya, how are you? I'm at 147 pounds lost.
Boom.
In the last 17 months, yeah.
Oh, my God.
147 pounds in the last 17 months. 147.
147.
So you lost a person.
I lost, actually, yeah.
In 17 months.
Yeah, it's about what my son weighs, my youngest son. So, yeah, I lost that.
Everybody that is listening to us this morning wants to know how you did that.
Mm-hmm. Bro, that is not what everybody that's listening to you this morning wants to know.
I do.
I was trying to change the subject.
No, I know you were, but the funny part, Ed, is I get here and you have a whole conversation about New Year's resolutions and what you weigh on the scale at the doctor's office. And I'm like, this is a perfect segue, man. This is going to be great. Mm-hmm. And then this thing took a left-hand turn. And I'm just sitting here going, how is he going to segue from Kiosha to me? And you manufactured something out of thin air about motivation. I don't even know what you said at this point. But, hey, what kind of radio show is this?
It's a community-based show.
Yes, I can tell.
Where we talk about all the things that matter to the community.
Really? Like women with the last names that end in A.
Well, I mean,
that matters to the community?
I made an observation. I'm trying to warn my brothers out there. If you're dating,
moving on,
a woman with the last letter A,
yes,
it's a problem.
Yes, and I love my wife Felicia. So
see,
put that out there.
No, we didn't say we didn't love them.
It's been a tremendous transformative year and a half. I basically, if we go back, actually the last time I was here, we talked about a lot of the estate planning issues that came about when my dad passed away. Mm-hmm. I lost my dad in March of 2024. And at that point in time, I was probably at my worst from a health and wellness standpoint. I weighed 440 pounds. My A1C was a 9.9, so I was full-blown type 2 diabetic. My cholesterol was over 225. It was high. I mean, really all the markers on my labs were where they shouldn't be. Mm-hmm. And, it wasn't a surprise. I mean, I've been overweight my whole life, and I will tell you this, even today, where I'm at in my journey and where I'm going, like, I'll never be one of these people that, like, is self-loathing and hates the old version of myself. I very intentionally chose to sacrifice my well-being to instead pour myself into other aspects of my life. And I know I'm not alone in that. I had a marriage to build, and then I had young kids to be a father to. I had a business to grow. And so I just kind of put myself on a back burner, and I know there's a lot of people out there that are probably doing that same thing. What happens, though, is you wake up and you start to realize that, not only is my life expectancy way shorter than what it should be, but the quality of life that I'm living while I'm still here on Earth is not what it should be either. And so that was a real wake-up call for me. In July of 2024, we went to Alabama for my oldest son's baseball tournament. And when we were there, I was struggling to get from the parking lot to the baseball parks. These are huge baseball parks. And he had an off day where he didn't have a game, and the boys wanted to go to the Birmingham Zoo. And I couldn't do that. Mm-hmm. I couldn't stand long enough. I couldn't walk those steps. I couldn't do any of that. And so Felicia took the boys to the zoo, and I stayed back at the hotel. And I think that was, and by the way, I want to be clear, that wasn't the first time that had happened. Mm-hmm. She took the boys a lot of places. You go on my Facebook page and look back over the last 5 years, there's a lot of pictures of just her and the boys. Mm-hmm. And the assumption probably was that I was the one taking the picture. No, the reality was I just wasn't there, because if it involved too much physical exertion, I couldn't do it. So that was kind of a wake-up call. I think I was coming out of the dark of grieving the loss of my father and just realized, like, seeing his mortality play out in front of me kind of made me, pay attention to my own a little bit more. And so I said, okay, it's time to make some changes. And, that's kind of what hit the switch and flipped the switch on.
You said something that was very interesting there, and I've read your book, and you said, I've been overweight my whole life. And so when you're in that situation, most people say, well, just diet. Or why don't you just get out there and exercise? And I'm sure you've heard it all, right? It's just not that simple, is it?
No, and I did diet. I mean, that one of the things that I don't think people recognize is the people that diet the most are the ones that are overweight. The people that pinch pennies the most are the ones that are struggling financially. This idea that if you would just do this thing, everything will be okay. Those people know better than you do. They're, people that are overweight are trying all the diets. People that are struggling financially are clipping coupons and pinching every penny they can pinch. It's more than that. And what I had to finally realize is there was a mindset shift that had to take place. And I had done all the diets. I keto and Beachbody and all of those things. And the reality is none of it would ever stick. And it wouldn't stick because I did not have a shift in my own mindset. I had to change who I was on the inside in order to be able to have lasting change on the outside. And so what that looked like for me was exercise, strength training, going to the gym. I hadn't set foot in a gym in 15 years. In my mind, I wasn't healthy enough to work out.
Wait
like,
a minute.
Well, I mean, it's like, wait a minute. Like, I can't get through a workout session. I can't I can't go to a gym, which it sounds silly, right? Like, Kenya, your reaction is right. But when you're in that mindset, it makes perfect sense. It's like the people that feel like they're not saved enough to go to church.
Oh, okay.
Church is the place where you go to get saved.
Right.
The gym is the place where you go to get healthy. But you get in this mindset where it's like, I'm too far gone, and I can't do that. I'm the exception to the rule. And so the only reason I was even in the gym is because my son was training for baseball, and the trainer came over to me and he said, hey, why don't you and I lift?
Now, you mentioned your son, and I know this because we're friends and also because you talk about it in the book, but it was an unfortunate circumstance, or at least what we thought was an unfortunate circumstance at the time, that kind of helped with this transition to you going to the gym more regularly. And by the way, when we say more regularly, we're not talking every day, right?
No, 3 or 4 times a week.
Okay. But tell us about that. What was it that, hey, this whole life situation happens, is your son is distraught about it until he wasn't, and then it opened the door for you?
So you're asking me to testify on a Sunday morning.
Well,
please.
In Black History Month.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so basically my son, I mean, it's a local show, so everybody, I can just use names. My son had his heart set on going to Jesuit High School. It was the only school he was ever going to go to. We had every reason to believe that he would go. Perfect GPA, perfect test scores, great kid. And it's the only school we applied to. And he didn't get in. And when he didn't get in, we were all devastated. Not just him, me. And so it's funny because I started calling everybody that I could think to call and pulling strings, you included, Ed. Like, who do we know? I felt like somehow I could change this. I could fix this, And so I just finally had to realize, like, he's just not going to school here. Like, it just wasn't meant to be. And so we ended up applying to 2 other schools. They immediately accepted him. One of them was Calvary Christian High School in Clearwater, Florida, 33 miles from our house. And Donovan loved it. Went there one time and loved it. And I just said, if you go there and you're filled with the Holy Spirit and it's a great school and a great baseball program, then that's where you need to be. And his response was, no, I'll go to the other school because it's easier, it's closer. And I appreciate the sacrifice, but as a father, like, we're not going to settle.
Nope.
We're not out of convenience.
Amen.
And so we just had to figure out a way to make it work. And so the way that I made it work was I leased an office in Clearwater right next to his school. We leave the house at 6 a.m. I drop him off at school. 5 minutes later, I'm at my desk working. I'm close by if he needs me, and then I'm there for all of his baseball games and stuff like that. Well, because of that, I found myself in Clearwater every day, which is where this gym is. And so it kind of took this awakening for me throughout this process of, wait a minute. When God closed that door to Jesuit, it was because he had all of these other blessings lined up for our family. Mm-hmm. And because of that, now I'm 147 pounds lighter. My whole family is healthier. We all, like, that's one of the things that I've been preaching as I go around and evangelize health and wellness. Like, especially as a husband and a father and a leader of the house, you can't say it. You've got to live it. You've got to walk the walk and be the example. And so I could tell my kids to eat healthy, but if I'm not eating healthy, they're not going to do it. They're going to emulate what I'm doing. And so it's this entire change of him being at a school where he's thriving academically and athletically and spiritually. He's in discipleship. He's in Bible study. He's at youth group every Wednesday night. He wants to get a passport and go on a mission trip next summer. Like our family is healthier. My marriage is stronger than it's ever been. I'm a better father than I've ever been just because I'm healthy enough to be present, show up for myself first, and then show up for everyone else in my life. Like that prioritization was always backwards for me. And so all of this was part of God's plan. And the irony is how I fought it tooth and nail the whole way.
Listen, this is a crazy, inspirational, motivational story. Like I said at the start of this, we're going to take a break. I need y'all to keep listening because this is just incredible to be sitting here with Chris Garrido. You're listening to Front Page Tampa Bay with Ed Narain. We're going to be right back after this.
Now back to the show about you. Front Page Tampa Bay with Ed Narain on 101.5 The Vibe.
And we are back. We are sitting here in the studio with Chris Garrido. He is the author of Fit by 50, 147 pounds in 17 months. I mean, just dramatically transform not just your body, but also your life, both from a family perspective, a spiritual perspective. And this is not your first book. You wrote one book on savings.
Yeah, that's boring though, man.
That's boring? I read it. I was going to tell you that, but I did read it.
I mean, look, it's a good book, but how exciting can it be about saving money, right?
Oh, that's like always exciting.
No, saving your life is a little more exciting.
Well, that's what I love. And I'm going to ask you, why 50? Is this like a midlife crisis that you hit and you're like, hey, I got to do something? Or
I think it's the opposite of a midlife crisis. It's like a midlife celebration, you know?
Nice.
I think Fit by 50 was something in my brain that I used to always promise myself. So when I was in my 40s, my mid 40s, and it's like, okay, well, I'm not fit now, but by the time I'm 50, you know, and it was more of a mantra or a slogan or whatever, a hashtag but the reality is that doesn't invoke change. None of that invokes change, right? It sounds nice and it makes you feel good. Like, okay, well, the hope is around the corner somewhere. But it also can be a curse because I could have been fit by 46 had that been the mantra. I think sometimes we limit ourselves in what we set our goals as. You know, we set our goals too low or we push our timelines too far out. But it was just, you know, something in my head that I kind of said, you know, I've got to do something about this by the time I'm 50 years old. So that phrase lived in my head for a long time. And one of the things that I talk about in the book, and I get very, very transparent and vulnerable in this book. I want to be as vulnerable as possible in the hopes of trying to inspire someone else, even if it's just one person. I want somebody to see, wow, like he was that far gone when he started. Like if he could do that, then I could do that too. And people say that all the time. Well, if I can do it, anyone can. No, I mean that literally. I mean, I had structural issues with my back and my hip and my neck. And, you know, some of that stuff I'm still working through now, even 147 pounds down. But, you know, metabolically, I was a mess. I was 440 pounds. Like I couldn't walk from the front of the gym to the back of the gym without stopping when I first got to the gym. You know, I would be gassed. And so I just want people to know, like, this is about as far down and as far gone as you can be. And I was still able to turn it around. If that's the case, you can too. In the book, though, I share that I used to actually pray nightly that God would let me live to be 58 years old.
Why 58?
Because that's when my youngest son would graduate high school. And so it was almost like, you know, God, just let me get through my kid's childhood, you know, because I was not naive to the fact that an early death was coming. It just was so buried beneath all of the other priorities in my head and all of the other things that I was focused on that I wasn't, you know, being intentional about doing something about it. And so looking back on that, it sounds terrible, right? Like what kind of father just prays to make it to 58? But that's where I was mentally, was like, you know, I've got to do all of these other things to provide for my family. And that's where the death of my dad really kind of changed things for me, because I saw how devastating that was for my kids. And I just had to ask myself, like, if losing their grandfather hurts that much, what's it going to be like when they lose their dad? And the answer was pretty obvious. I mean, it kind of smacked me in the face. And so I just had to start making changes. Now, one of the things that I want to really share, because I think people ask me all the time about what was different this time. You've tried to lose weight before and it hasn't stuck. What was different? I don't know why, but I promised myself when I started at the gym that no matter how much I hated it, no matter how miserable I was, I would not stop for 90 days. For 90 days, I would show up consistently and do everything that I was told to do. And then if on day 91 I still wanted to quit, then I would quit. But for 90 days, I promised myself I would not quit. It was an arbitrary number that I chose. I don't know why it was 90. Now I've spoken to some people that understand the science behind it. It's a real thing. I didn't know that. It was just dumb luck for me. But 90 days is like a real scientifically backed period of time where if you can commit to something intentionally for that period of time consistently, you create habits. And so people would always say, man, that was so hard. And I'm like, yeah, it was hard until it wasn't. Because there comes a point in time where it just becomes what you do.
Right. Now, you mentioned you were listening to the show and you said something about there's a date in January where resolutions cut off and a whole nickname for that.
Yeah, it's Quitter's Day.
Quitter's Day.
Yeah, so this year was January 9th, but the second Friday of every January is known nationally as Quitter's Day because that is the day by which most people have broken their New Year's resolutions. Second Friday of the year.
So, Kenya, did you make it that long?
Oh, I didn't make any resolutions, so I'm not in that group. But Ed, yourself, you've made some resolutions, and done by January 9th.
So saying.
Oh, wow.
So here's the thing.
I laughed, though, about the woman that called and said she broke down and bought clothes on January 7th. She didn't even make it to Quitter's Day.
She didn't.
Well, Kenya's encouraging her, telling her where the next deals are and how she could save 25%.
She was already off the wagon. What you want me to do?
Get her back
Kenya
on
was
the
just
wagon.
trying to get her old shoes. That's all I heard.
Listen.
Well, here's a question for you, and this is going to sound strange because I've never been 440 pounds. What is that like? Do people treat you differently when you weigh that much versus now at your new weight? Because at one point in time in the book, you mentioned that you hadn't weighed this much since you were in middle school, if I remember correctly.
When I got down to, I think it was 330, that's what I weighed as a sophomore in high school.
Wow.
Now I'm down to 293, so now I probably weigh what I weighed in, I don't know, 8th grade, 7th grade, I don't know, somewhere in that range, right? But the reality is I had been overweight my whole life. Do people treat you differently? 1,000,000% yes. And not always in nefarious ways, right? Like sometimes it's like I remember one time I took Donovan to a basketball game in Lakeland, and I was walking to the arena from the parking lot, and there was a woman that worked there like a security guard or whatever, and she came up to me and she said, do you need a wheelchair? And I was like, man, is it that bad? I was like, no, I don't need a wheelchair. I'm like, 45 years old. But again, that was the perception, right? Like if I saw myself walking, I might think that I needed a wheelchair also. And then other times I think, working as a financial advisor, I remember one time I was working in the villages, and old people, they'll say anything. They have no filter.
They
And
earned that right.
there was an older woman there that she looked me right in the face and said, why would I let you manage my money when you can't even manage your weight?
No, she didn't.
Oh, she did. And she
yikes.
meant it. And she literally said, if you lose 100 pounds, call me, and then you can be my financial advisor.
Have you called her yet?
No, I don't want to work with her.
She might have some major money, Chris.
I mean, that was 10 years ago too, so she also may not be with us anymore.
Oh,
But the reality of it is, like, I don't begrudge her that, right? Like that's the reality. She said what other people were thinking. She said what other people wouldn't say.
Right. Yeah.
And so when I started, my personal trainer told me, he said, as you start to do this, people are going to treat you differently. For better and for worse, by the way. He said, because you become a mirror now.
Yep.
So now you get fit and everybody sees you and they see their own reflection in you. And it's either going to embolden their choices or it's going to make them embarrassed or ashamed of their choices. And he said, there's a lot of people that in their life, you've always been their fat friend.
Ooh.
And when you take that label off, they don't know where to put you anymore. And he was right.
Yikes.
I feel that too.
Are you
Oh,
serious?
yeah, no, I feel it. It goes from in the beginning, it's like this. It's like, look at Chris. He's really doing it this time. That's awesome. And then it gets to a point where now I get down in the 290s and I start to talk about it and share my story and all that. And I think a little bit of time it becomes like, who does he think he is? Because now it's like they start to question themselves. Like, well, wait a minute, I'm not doing that. And I think it's uncomfortable. And that's okay. Like I'll take it all, man.
That's not okay.
That's not okay.
It's okay. It's not okay, but it is what it is, right?
Yeah.
And I'm willing to accept it. At the end of the day, though, you're not going to slow me down.
Right.
I'm going to continue to become the healthiest version of myself. I am not done yet. That's the whole slogan of the book. And I brought you guys some not done yet bookmarks and stickers, by the way.
Awesome.
Thanks.
But not done yet was something that I started telling people in the gym because they would come up to me and say, man, you look great. And I was really uncomfortable with being inspirational about this area of my life that I had always been a train wreck in. So I'm still trying to get comfortable with that. But I would just basically start saying, thank you, not done yet. Like letting them know, like, hey, we're still on this journey. Well, that has morphed into a whole other thing now because now I'm to the point where I realize I'll never be done. Well, we're never done, right? Like I'll accomplish something and then now I'm just going to raise the bar and want to accomplish something else. So perpetual improvement is the goal. There's no goal weight. There's no, what do I want to get down to? I just want to continue to work and get better every day.
So how do you do that though? What's the routine for you nowadays?
So the dietary for me is very simple. A lot of people think I'm crazy, and a lot of people may not be able to do this. I eat the same thing every single day. And I've eaten the same thing every day for over a year now. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, and 2 snacks. It's the exact same every day. It eliminates options for me.
Okay.
I got a mentor that says CEO is an acronym. It stands for Commitment Eliminates Options. I'm committed to this diet plan, and there is no option. That's just what I eat every day. I don't have to think about it. I don't have to worry about it. And so, that's why somebody posted on Facebook yesterday, what's on your Super Bowl menu? I said 10 ounces of ground chicken, 4 ounces of brown rice, a little bit of salsa verde, and an ounce of cheese. Like, that's what's on my Super Bowl menu, because it's what I eat every day. And 13 cherries.
Really? Exactly 13? I thought I was the
cherries.
only one that ate exactly a number of cherries.
No,
I can't go
cherries.
over a number.
That's my lucky number too. So, but I think just that's part of it. Training in the gym, I hated it. By the way, I told you I stuck with it for 90 days. The first 30 days, I was miserable. The first day I had to go in and train. First of all, I was going in at 7:30 in the morning because I thought nobody would be there, and I didn't want anybody to see me. I was ashamed. And then on top of that, I was also just trying to think of like, how do I get out of this? Like maybe I could say I got pulled over, or maybe I could say I got in an accident.
Wow.
And one of the things I share in the book, and I really am only half joking, I actually thought, well, what if I actually get in an accident? Then I could get out of going to the gym. Like, imagine loathing something so much that you would just act like you got in a car accident, or actually consider getting in one to avoid it. And so I'm glad I didn't, though, because the first 30 days, miserable. The next 30 days, kind of tolerated it. Didn't enjoy it, but tolerated it. But by the time I got to that 90-day mark, I was already down over 60 pounds. I was feeling better.
Wow.
I was seeing the results. Like, you couldn't have pried me out of the gym. So I tell people now, like, if you can just commit to something for a period of time, then that muscle memory will kick in, and it'll just become that thing that you do. It's hard until it isn't.
Yeah.
So I've got this question for you. It's somewhat controversial. You talk about it in the book. There are people out there who say, oh, well, anybody who's taking Ozempic or Wegovy or testosterone or all those things, they're cheating.
Yeah.
That's not true weight loss. It's not sustainable. How do you respond to that?
Those people are dumb.
Well,
That's my response.
okay.
I mean, you said a little bit more in the book, but
Well, I still will. I just wanted to pause for dramatic effect. I mean, it's so ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
Like, it would be the equivalent of me like going and seeing like a beautiful home and then being like, oh, the carpenter used a hammer though. Like, it's so stupid, right? It's a tool. It's a medical tool. And so I'm very open about it. I started taking Mounjaro. It is a diabetic medication, and I was diabetic.
Yep.
I'm not some guy that said, oh, I'm just going to take some Ozempic and lose 10 pounds and do nothing else. Like, I still had to transform my mind. I had to transform my body. I had to transform my routines. I'm training in the gym 3 or 4 times a week. I changed everything that I ate. And so the idea that somehow you're cheating is naive, because those GLP-1 medications, they cause you to lose weight, but they cause you to lose fat and muscle. Not only have I lost 147 pounds, I've added 32 pounds of muscle. Like, it's hard to do. It's hard to add muscle while you're on a GLP-1. And I've been able to add over 30 pounds of muscle throughout this. So to me, this shaming people about the methods through which they get healthier is just counterproductive, right? Like, what are we trying to accomplish? You'd rather them not take it and just stay unhealthy for the rest of their life?
Well, there's this idea that you have to suffer to go, to.
I'm suffering. I promise you, I'm suffering. I'm suffering in that gym on a regular basis. No, but the other thing too, from a testosterone standpoint, my doctor tested my testosterone level. She told me it was the lowest she'd seen in 20 years.
Wow.
My testosterone, like for anybody out there that knows the numbers, was a 154.
What should have been?
800 to 900.
Oh,
I
okay.
mean,
yeah, very low.
Well, at my age, right? Like, if I was an 85-year-old man, then maybe 154 would be normal, but it was insane. And so I started doing TRT, testosterone replacement therapy. And some people will say, well, that's cheating too. That's how he built the muscle. Really?
I
mean,
you can't win.
You guys can come in the gym and train with me. You can eat what I eat. You can do all the stuff, and then tell me how easy it is. Tell me about all the shortcuts and cheat codes, but the reality is, like, I genuinely feel like I'm doing it the right way.
Yeah.
I'm using the medical tools that are available, but I'm not using them as a shortcut to avoid the work, the commitment, the sacrifice, and all of that. And so if I can continue to lose fat and build muscle and have healthy levels, like, that's really the goal. That's
So
what we're
do
all
you have
trying
like
to do.
a really big goal, like a marathon or anything in the future?
Yeah, that's a good question, Kenya. So I told you guys summer, July 2024, I sat in the hotel while my wife took the kids to the zoo because I couldn't do it. In summer of 2025, we were actually going to Georgia, and I don't know where this idea came from. Well, I do. It was God anointed for sure. But I just thought, you know what, we should climb to the top of Stone Mountain.
Whoa.
And I was like, that'd be like the perfect bookend of this year. And this is the year that I talk about in the book, right? So Fit by 50, my year-long journey from death to life. Like July 2024, I'm sitting in a hotel room in Birmingham, Alabama, while my wife takes the kids to the zoo. July 2025, I'm standing at the top of Stone Mountain.
Wow.
And so I just made that the goal, and it was physically, it was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life.
Yeah.
It took a long time. God was with me on that climb. I got to what I thought was the midway point, and I told my wife, I said, I don't know if I can do this. Like, I don't have another half of this in me.
Right.
And there was an older couple there, and or not a couple, it was a mother and her kids. And she looked at me and she said, well, you really working today, huh? And I was like, yeah, because I was 350-ish, 347, I think, at the time. And so I was like, yeah, I am. I said, I don't know if I have another half of this trip in me. And she's like, what do you mean? And I said, well, this is the halfway point because it's a little pavilion on the way up. And she's like, halfway point? She's like, you're almost done. And I was like, what? So her son showed me. He's like, right there up around that turn. That's the top right there.
Wow.
Then the sun disappeared for a while, came back, and had whittled me a walking stick from a branch from a tree. And he said, I made this for you because it gets really steep at the top and you're going to need it. And so we made it and got to the top. And right when I got to the top, it started raining, which that's biblical. And I literally lost it. I started sobbing. My kids have never seen me cry like that.
Wow.
I was just sobbing uncontrollably.
Man, that whole story is a metaphor for life, right?
Amen.
Right when it's starting to get the hardest. And I can't do it anymore. I think I'm done. All of a sudden, that breakthrough comes. The top is right there. Now you can see it. You get there. And it's raining. And rain in the Bible actually means blessing.
Amen.
So I mean, that's
rained
amazing.
at my wedding, rained at my father's funeral. I mean, there's so many benchmark moments in my life where it literally started raining right at the moment. My dad's funeral, it poured until it was outdoor service at Florida National Cemetery. It poured until we sat down to start the service. Wow. And the minute the service started, the sun came out.
You're not going to make me cry on the radio.
I know, right? I'm tearing up.
I might try.
You're trying, but it's not going to work today because I'm not going to do it. But I want to stress something to our listeners today, because what you just said about the Wegovy in particular is so important for our listeners to understand. We've gotten, as a people, comfortable with the idea of, I've got heart disease, I got to take this metoprolol, this medication, I can't see what's going on, it's going to help me. But when it comes down to diabetes, when it comes down to mental health, take the medication.
Amen.
It is okay. Everybody has a cross to bear. Everybody's got something. It is okay to take the medication to help you. I don't care if it's weight loss, whatever it is, take it. We've got to remove these stigmas where everybody thinks, oh, I'm cheating or I don't really need this. If you've been tested and a doctor tells you this is going to help extend your life or make your life better, take the medication.
This is how bad it is. On Instagram, I actually follow a lot of people that have had 100-pound weight loss or more. Some have had 300-pound weight loss.
Wow.
Incredible transformations. That community loves to talk about how they did it all natural or natty. I'm all natty. And it's funny because I saw a guy post something the other day and he's like, 180 pounds lost, all natty. I don't care what you do it however you want. And so I couldn't help myself. I had to engage. And I wrote a comment. I said, hey, man, God bless you. I love your content. I love all of it. And you've really transformed your life, and that's great. But if you really don't care what somebody does or how they do it, then what's the point in you stressing that you're all natty? Like, you're furthering that stigma. Like, let's break the stigma of people being ashamed about trying to better themselves. You know, I mean, that it's literally just a tool.
That's it.
And I'll tell everybody. And I actually went on a show a couple weeks ago, was talking about the book. And the host of the show was like, well, yeah, you did it the right way, though. You're not using any of those GLP-1 medications. I go, no, I am. I want to be very open and honest about that. I am.
The right way.
And it was like, I think he was surprised. I think it was genuine, but I think he was surprised because I'm training 3 or 4 times a week and I'm eating right. And I think that's the problem. So many people are using it as a cheat code where they're not doing all of the other things. They're trying to circumvent that piece of it. He assumed that since I was doing all the right things, I wasn't using the GLP-1. My whole point is you can do both.
Right.
It's not an either or proposition. Use the medical tools and also put in the work and have the commitment.
And what I loved about watching your journey in particular was that I got to watch your journey. We're Facebook friends. I mean, we're real life friends too, because Facebook's not a real place. But you consistently posted your journey, whether it was in the gym, on the way to the gym, the meal of the moment was posted online. And you didn't just celebrate yourself when you hit certain milestones. You talked about all of it. And for me, I love the fact that you showed the challenges of what you were doing as well as the celebrations, and to see a product, because I know this is not the final product, but the book, you had a book signing. I just think it's amazing how transparent you've been. That's why I told you, it's like you got to come do the show.
Yeah, but here's the thing that a lot of people don't know. In the beginning, I wasn't. I told you I was training at 7:30 in the morning. I was trying to hide in the shadows. I wasn't posting. I didn't want anybody to know. And it was through, my trainer, which I love him so much, Matt Levine, owner of Legacy Barbell in Clearwater, Florida. Like he's been very, very instrumental in this transformation. But he was the one that was like leaning on me to share the story. He's like, you've got to share this story. You've got to be transparent about it. He said, because there's people out there that need to see you do this.
Amen.
He said, you can inspire people in a way that I can't. They look at me and they think, well, he's just been fit all his life. He's different. He's genetically different. They look at you and they can relate to you. And so when they see you make this transformation, you will inspire them by default. And so slowly I started to come out of the shadows and share more and more. Well, what happened was I started, like the response was incredible. I mean, I've probably gotten 50 plus Facebook messages of people saying, hey, I did this because of your journey.
Wow.
One guy lives in London. He's like, yeah, we have a mutual friend and he shared your stuff with me and I saw it and now I'm down over 100 pounds. I'm like, some random guy in England that I will never meet is 100 pounds lighter because I shared that story. So that's why I wrote the book. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to lean all in on this and just really go out and kind of evangelize health and wellness, because the reality is people need to see this. And no matter where you're at, no matter how far gone you think you are, you're not done yet.
So real quick, somebody else in the Tampa Bay area that wants to find you and follow you and also be inspired by your journey, how do they find you in the book?
So the book is on Amazon. It's Fit by 50, my year-long journey from death to life. It's in paperback and Kindle. I did just record the audio for it.
Okay.
And so by the end of the month, it should be available on Audible. We're in human review right now, which I think is the last step. A lot of people will not read an actual book, so I'm like, you know what? I need to make an audio book so people can listen to it. And on Instagram, I'm Chris Garrido _fit50, so they can find me there. But I'm wide open, by the way. People send me messages, I always respond. Like, I want to be a resource, and I want to try and inspire as many people as possible.
We're going to take a break. I know you said you had some more time, so we're going to take a break. We'll come right back. You're listening to Front Page Tampa Bay with Ed Narain. Chris Garrido's in the studio. We'll be back after this.
The show that informs you and discusses the issues continues now. Front Page Tampa Bay with Ed Narain on 101.5 The Vibe.
And ladies and gentlemen, we are back. We are having an amazing conversation with Mr. Chris Garrido, the author of Fit by 50. Chris has lost over 147 pounds in 17 months. We're talking about all of the things, the stigmas, the triumphs, the challenges, all of it. And man, Chris, I would tell you this when I'd see you on Facebook about how inspired I was by seeing your journey. We've been friends for a very long time, but knowing where you were to seeing where you are, it's just amazing. And so one of the things that you talked about the nutrition piece. And there's somebody out there saying, yeah, but I don't want to eat the same thing every day all the time. And I don't know that I can afford to go to a nutritionist.
Yeah, I did use a nutritionist, and those are valid concerns. You don't have to eat the same thing every day. You just have to figure out what your macronutritional limits each day are. So how many calories per day, how many grams of fat, protein, carbs, etc. And then you just have to find the foods that fit within that puzzle, right? So as long as the puzzle pieces match the puzzle, it'll work. The financial piece is very real, and I'm not naive to that. Not everyone can join a gym and have a personal trainer and hire a nutritionist, and I accept all of that. But all of the resources that I'm getting face-to-face personally from those professionals in my life are all readily available online at no cost, right? Like ChatGPT will make you a nutritional plan. If you put in your age, your gender, your weight, what your goal weight is, and it will literally spit out not just your macro limits for the day, but it'll give you a plan of what to eat. It'll do meal prep. It'll give you a grocery shopping list. Like all of that is free of charge.
What about exercise? Will it tell me what to do?
It'll tell you what to do. It won't do it for you, though. That's the problem. That's the problem for a lot of people. But the reality is it's all out there if you want it, And like I said in the last segment, I mean, if somebody messages me, I'm not an expert. I'm not a trainer. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a nutritionist, but I'll point you in the right direction. I know where to find the information online. And so I don't want anything to ever stand in the way of anyone getting started. Like, get started. People ask me this a lot. They're like, man, I bet you wish you would have started 5 years ago. Yeah, of course, right? Like, why wouldn't I want to feel like this, for 5 extra years? But I'm also not naive to the fact, though, that I was who I needed to be in every season of life. Every season of my life required some different version of me. And I'm just grateful that God graced me to get to this season where now I can be the priority and I can do all of the things that I've needed to do for myself.
So to that point, I'm curious, do you have like a ideal end for yourself in this? Like, I want to be, I want to get to this weight or be able, okay, there we go.
As I flash my not done yet sticker. I stopped with that. And I think that was part of the mindset shift is I used to be like, well, if I could lose 100 pounds or if I could get down to this weight or get under 300 pounds. And those are great benchmarks along the way. But the journey is never complete. We are never done. And the reality is, like, I guess the next benchmark would be 275. My body fat percentage was north of 50%. It's now under 35%.
Wow.
I think 25% is probably a pretty good place for me to land. And I actually ran the numbers on that, and I was like, well, where I'm at now, if I got my body fat percentage down from 35% to 25% and all I lost was fat, I didn't lose any muscle, what would I weigh? And I think ChatGPT told me I would weigh like 247 or something like that. So if I get down to 247 and 25% body fat, like I'm going to look pretty good.
I was going to say, would you even recognize yourself?
No, not really. I don't recognize myself right now half the time. I looked at a family photo one time, and this I've only told my wife this, but I couldn't find myself in a family. And it wasn't a huge family photo. It was like my in-laws and 2 cousins and then the 4 of us. And we went out to dinner for my mother-in-law's birthday, and I looked at this picture, and I did not immediately see myself. And I was like, wait, no, that's me right there. I didn't realize this, but I had become accustomed to looking for the biggest, like, most overweight person in the picture.
Yeah.
And then now I had gotten down to a shape where I kind of fit in with everybody in the picture. I was like, oh, I don't just stand out anymore. I have to, like, search for myself like a Where's Waldo book,
Well, I'll tell you what, with the weight loss, you look like your dad.
Yeah. Yeah. And Donovan, I get that a lot, too.
I couldn't see it as much before.
Yeah.
Like, but now you are literally, from a facial structure, you're the spitting image of your father.
Yeah, the cheeks and all of that. It's starting to come in. I've heard that a lot from his side of the family throughout this. They've told me that. And then the one that I get all the time is like, man, as you lose weight, holy cow, you and Donovan look exactly the same.
So tell us again, where someone who wants to read the book and hear about your journey, where can they find that? And then if they want to find you, it's not like you're not a personal trainer. You're not giving out advice or anything like that. But somebody that wants to see what you've been through and wants to read about it, hear about it, where would they go?
I will. I pulled this up real quick because I think this is a really important piece of the story, and I just want to share it very quickly.
Please.
Inspire the people that are inspiring you. When you see people that are working hard to better themselves in some way, shape, or form, pour into them. Don't assume that he's got it all figured out now, because there are hard days in this journey. And those hard days, like those little drops of inspiration, help tremendously. So I just pulled this up, just a random text from you one day. I'm super proud of you, man. Like, I have messages like that from you and a dozen other people, and that matters so much. And so I just want to thank you for that. Thank you for your friendship, but also remind people that on the hard days, those little messages and those little, like, drops of encouragement, they carry you through. It's a big deal. For me, like, where do you want to find me? You can find me at Legacy Barbell on US 19 in Clearwater. Like, you can come lift with me. You can come in and see what I do and do it for yourself, Let
me make this, my shoulder's acting.
Oh, here we go.
I don't know if I can be
go.
there. That's my excuse.
Really?
Yeah, there's a lot of excuses out there. I heard you earlier asking about some remedies for your allergies.
Yeah.
Get under a bar. It'll clear you
Are
right
you going
up.
to tell me that weightlifting can help my allergies?
It will clear you right up.
Just like Peach's castor oil this morning?
No, I didn't say anything about castor oil. That's going to clear you out in a whole different way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It pulls out all the toxins.
It pulls them out the wrong end, though. He's trying to get it out up here.
Thank you, Chris, for
Yeah.
validating what I was trying to say.
I just can't wait till you can get back in the gym
Me
and
too.
start lifting.
So that's going to be this week, right?
No, I'm still recovering
No,
with my
the
back
back-
issues
back
and
rehab.
stuff. See, Kenya's just pushing me into getting hurt again.
I'm
That's
just asking a question. I absolutely do not want you to re-injure yourself.
Here's a fringe benefit, though, of training. It's really liberating to remember that you can do hard things. And all of those difficult times in the gym have proven to me like what I can do outside of the gym. And it also opens your eyes to like how many people have just kind of not in a bad way, in a loving way, enabled you throughout time. Like even at my house, like I'll go to do something or lift something and Felicia will be like, wait, no. And then she's like, oh, wait, I forgot you can do all that stuff now. Right. Like there's just so many things that I wouldn't have even considered doing. I'm a better friend. Like people would ask me for favors and my default was no because I knew I wasn't healthy enough to show up and do it. Now I'm like, I'm going to be honest with you, Ed. Here's the God's honest truth.
Yeah.
If you had asked me 2 years ago to leave my house at 5:30 in the morning on a Sunday and come in for this live radio show, the answer would have been no.
So the first time you
We
came
taped
in?
it. We taped it in the
taped it,
evening.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, we taped it in the
Wow.
evening. If you had asked, hey, can you be over here at 6:25 Sunday morning? I would have been like, nope. No, I don't have the energy for that.
Dang.
That's what I mean. Like
Yeah.
it carries over into every aspect of your life. And now, like I mentioned earlier, like I'm getting messages from people literally around the world that are healthier. My mother and father-in-law are going to the gym. Like there's just this ripple effect that you become better for the people in your life and you pour into them better, but they also start bettering themselves. And there's like a whole Chris Garrido network of people now that are making better choices for themselves. And so I'm telling you, whatever it is, maybe it's not even weight loss. Maybe it's not even health and wellness related, but whatever it is in your life that you want to change it. Do it, because the reality is nobody is too far gone. It's never too late.
I was just going to say, so even for those people that called in earlier who admitted that they have given up on their New Year's resolutions, Start over.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, ma'am. You were the one encouraging Miss Chapman to go back shopping.
Hey, actually, I gave her some
She
really
told her to
sound
wait
advice.
until after the sale, but
Thank
then
you.
start back up again.
There you go.
You know,
I didn't
Chris,
say
you were supposed
completely
to come on
abandon
the
it.
show and agree with me, but that's it.
Listen. I love you, Ed, but I'm going to be honest. When I listen to this show, I find myself agreeing with Kenya more.
Oh
I'm
my
sorry.
goodness! All right,
Thanks,
I'm sorry,
Chris.
buddy.
Eric, hit that mute button
Did I
for
just
us,
get dumped?
please.
Thanks, Chris.
This thing on? Does this work? Okay.
Well, listen, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't been listening, you can go to the Vibes website and listen to any episode we've ever done in the last 2+ years that we've been on the radio. I would encourage you to share this with your friends, family members, people who say, I can't do this. There's really no excuse. Chris, thank you for the inspiration
Absolutely.
this morning. You just got to do it. You just got to start. This is Black History Month. Before we leave today, I just want to announce something that was just shared with me. February 28th through March 4th, there is going to be a Rescuing History Authors Tour. It's going to take you from Florida, Georgia, and Alabama. Miss Ursula Odom, who everybody knows in this area, is recording Tampa's Black History, is going to be putting this on. If you want to find out more, go to www.rescuinghistoryinc.com. That's rescuinghistoryinc.com. Chris, thank you for coming in this morning.
Thank you for having me. By the way, if anybody wants to put video to the audio, tomorrow night, Fox 13, 10 o'clock newscast, they're doing a little feature on me, the journey, and the book. So be sure to check that out.
Wow.
I mean, it's incredible.
Isn't it?
As you went through this, I told you had to come on and do this show, not because we're friends, but because of the work that you've put in and what's happening. You inspire me to be a better man. And I mean, your boys are incredible. And I can't wait to see where their journey is going to take them.
Yeah.
Well,
so to your point about being a better man, that starts with not ragging on us girls with names that end in A, right?
all I did was tell the truth. And I'm going to stick by that
Oh,
truth
well, I got my answer.
throughout 2026.
All right.
Before we get out of here, I got to know, Kenya, what are you doing for Valentine's Day?
Oh, no. I won't be discussing that on the air. But you enjoy your Valentine's Day. I'm sure you've already got your reservations made, flowers ordered, whole bit. So, yeah.
There's a reservation in West Tampa in the living room from the TV. Yeah, that's what we're
Wow.
going to do. Chris, any special plans?
I actually have my work banquet at the Westin Harbor Island on the 13th. So Felicia and I are just going to stay there the whole weekend.
Look at that.
Nice.
Eric, anything?
Same with Kenya. I'm just kind of keeping it private.
Well, listen, like I tell y'all every week, if you're not at the table, you're on the menu. I don't know how that applies to Valentine's Day. I'm sure you can figure out some way to make that work. But listen, we appreciate you listening to Front Page Tampa Bay with Ed Narain every single week. Continue to listen here on The Vibe because Miss DeLeon and Sunday Morning Inspiration is up next. Have a great week. Happy Valentine's Day.
The show that informs you and discusses the issues. Front Page Tampa Bay
Check us out every Sunday morning from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m.
on 101.5 The Vibe.